Hello everyone, welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you so much for coming to the channel. So I'm at the bottom level of my rack system here in the fish room, actually putting me right on the floor where I belong. And I'm not sure what that self-deprecation was all about, but here we are. I'm looking at the 5-gallon, what used to be the grow out tank for my live bears, all the wonderful babies that I was getting out of that tank there. And I've talked extensively about both those tanks and the fish within them. But basically I had platies and mollies and swordtails growing up real fast in this small aquarium, and I needed to rehome them. And my new best friend Tony at Phillips Tank Works came by last weekend, and he gave me a bunch of microfauna, and I gave him all the fish that were in this tank. Beautiful brood stock of high-end mollies, platies, and swordtails. And he has way more facilities where he's at to grow those out and rehome the fish to both stores and other people, his clients. He has outdoor arrangement, the whole nine. I didn't have any of that here in my fish room in Chicago, in an apartment building. I do what I can and make the most of my space, but I was struggling to keep all these super fast growing fish, which you're not looking at because there's none in there, safely and productively in my fish room. So I traded them, and that's what I did. And I'm super excited now because I have essentially a blank space. Now there's nothing blank about this 5-gallon. It's packed with life, just other than some pygmy coreodoras, no fish. I've got Goliath here, that's my monster mystery snail, and a few other really big mystery snails. There's a ram's horn literally riding atop the mystery snail, the ivory and magenta varieties. I keep them in here. I mean, you could have overly big snails in a small tank, at least for the short term. They're very happy. I talked about it, but to help with their shells, I have Ceru stone, which does harden the water a little bit. It will affect the water a little bit, but moreover, I crush eggshells in a mortar and pestle, cleaned up eggshells after you make an omelet, and I sprinkle them in at the bottom with spirulina flakes and other things that inverts love. So Tony at Phillips Tank Works gave me a bunch of microfauna and shrimp, and I put most of them in here. Now I fed some of what he gave me to my very hungry fish, but I kept a lot of that stuff and put it in here. And so as we're filming, you see a Daphnia there, you might see a scud tooling around, and all that stuff I got from him. And whatever happens to it, it's not a problem because it's part of whatever this tank wants to become. And so its food web will either lean on these cherry shrimp, or maybe I doubt the Daphnia will go great guns. They need a little bit of special care, but there's some in here, and the scuds will always be a part of this, I'm pretty sure. And of course the snails, they're the easiest things to see and appreciate in an aquarium like this. But I've got hornwort, some of which was given to me by Tony as well. That's this lovely plant here. Super popular with breeders. It's real easy, fast growing plant, so it'll pull nutrients out of the water quickly if you need that to happen. And Lord knows when I had a crap ton of live bears, I needed that to happen. And so I did have some hornwort, and I also had some water sprite. You see that plant there. I've got some in a pot here. You don't need to put it in a pot, but I wanted the gravel to help give the scuds a place to hang out and reproduce. And thicker gravel is great for that if they can make their way in. There are pygmy coreodoras in here, and they're really fat and happy. I don't see any. One might come by because they will swim all over the aquarium. But rest assured, they're in here and they're happy. There's Goliath showing off his foot. I don't think that hornwort can support him. But they have systems. Well, I think he's gonna tumble to the bottom there. Mystery snails will after they reach the top. There he goes. There he goes, boonk. And they'll repeat that cycle over and over again. Sometimes mystery snails will climb out of the tank, and they have to do that in order to lay their egg case above the water line. I don't expect any egg cases because I'm not trying to give them an ideal humid place for them to put those egg cases. If they climb out of the tank, chances are I'll have to save them from the floor. But they won't find a really great place to lay their egg cases. That's not to say that they won't, but I'm not looking for that either. I don't need a bunch of mystery snails. I love them, and I've got a few in all my tanks, but I don't need a bunch, and they're too big to have a bunch if you're interested in the overall aesthetic of your aquarium. I forgot to mention I do have a baby longfin plecostomus in there that I got at the swap. Look at how beautiful that fish is. It's only about 2 inches long now, but I find them to be slow growers, so he or she can be quite happy in here for the short and medium term. I'm wondering, what do I do with this tank? Obviously I don't want to create another problem with live bears, so I don't see myself putting endlers or guppies or something like that in here. There's a Coreodora, see? Fat, chubby little round tummy. Looking good. I know there's at least 5 others in here. But I do get to wonder, one of my favorite things laying in bed before I go to sleep at night is, like, what do I do in my fish room tomorrow? And here is, while it's full of life, a blank slate when it comes to fish. I've got the prerequisite pothos growing out of the top. There's one of those acrylic hangers I talk about, even though the digital thermometer is in the way. And you just stick a clipping in there, and the roots will eventually fill that up and start to grow out of the striations in the acrylic. There's a lovely gold mystery snail, and he's falling to the bottom too. If I can stay patient and just let the shrimp do their thing, I could see this being a shrimp tank with the support from the microfauna and the invertebrates. But knowing me, I will probably try something either with killifish or a pistogramma, some fish that are scarlet batis, some small fish that I could put a trio in here and conceivably watch them spawn and learn more about that and how to feed these super tiny nano fish fry with infusoria and other cultures that I love growing and practicing with. Even if I fail, I still think it's a wonderful science project for me and just enriches the hobby in general. What do you guys think? Any ideas? What should I put in here, if anything? There's no legit aquascape, but like I've always said, plants become the aquascape. They will make up for some of our more mediocre man-made efforts, or if just left to their own devices, they can become the primary feature of your aquarium. The Dutch style is fancy, but it's basically just a term describing plants only tank. And I could do that and let the shrimp go nuts. And if I don't do anything, that's essentially what I am doing if I choose not to intervene. But I have a hankering maybe to try some clown killifish in here, maybe to try the apistos, maybe something small and exotic appeals to me, and I can make it happen in a 5-gallon tank like this, especially with all these plants. Love to hear your thoughts. As always, keep your hands in the tank, and ciao for now.